Well, today what we're gonna do is we're gonna craft this. Lovely, isn't it? Hi, my name is Jokas, and today we're gonna craft this thing, which is a magic item potion shop. Let's begin. So, why I even making a magical shop if you're just gonna use it just once, and your player is gonna move on? Because I made these small health potion tokens, so if my players, just visit a shop, they could find some tokens inside of it and I could give it to them, and I think that's pretty interesting. If my players, visit the shop once again, there could be different tokens. Pretty neat. So I started out by cutting out the necessary foam for my project, and for that I used my templates, which I will link down above if you would, want to create something for yourself in a similar fashion. It really helped me map out the necessary structure elements to this craft, and it made my life a little bit easier. So if you are looking on how you should make paper crafts, above. But basically after I did that, I mapped out the circles and proceeded to cut out the middle of it in order to achieve this kind of a weird structure look. Because when you have this kind of empty slots that actually can go pretty snug together, I can just move them around a little bit, apply a little bit of hot glue, and that's gonna be enough to create such structure as that. So after I did that, it came another part of this build, which was a little bit tedious, but it's necessary in order to create something like this, which is basically a structure that has, interesting shingles, and basically it looks pretty okay. So what I did here was on each of these walls, I decided to put up a stick that could go, in a line of the circles that I cutted, and basically I leveled it out to two, sections, which is basically this part and this part. So the first level is just basically hold it up with these sticks, and they go in almost kind of a symmetrical form, which lets me place down the shingles, the panels of the shingles easily. And the second part was just, using my creativity, will, and sheer blood and tears to create a second part of it. Just put the foam and then cut it out to the point where the stick is. That will give you the necessary, look of this kind of weird architecture, and that's gonna be it in means of laying out this kind of a roof or wall, if you want to say that. Now the only thing is that you need to actually have such a structure where the strips of foam can actually meet pretty easily, and that could be only achieved if you have some kind of symmetry at the first levels. Now, in means of the second one, what I did, it was a little bit more stranger, and that actually made my craft go a little bit, wonky, but at the same time gave me this kind of a weird look that I was looking for. In means of the texture, it wasn't that hard to do. It's just basically just making one shingle a little bit bigger and a little bit smaller ones, and after you're done with the whole piece, you will see as the whole craft just becomes, as it should be. After I was done with my craft, what I wanted to do is to make it a little bit more unique than my previous craft, which was Wizard's Tower, and basically all of these techniques were inspired by it, but I wanted to make it a little bit more unique. So what I did was I just put some planks on every single individual shingle, and basically it gave me this kind of a look that I actually wanted, and I think in the end it was looking pretty fine and dandy. Of course, if you don't want to do this, since it's a lot of tedious work, I suggest you just doing in such a way that you want to, but basically this is what I did, and I'm pretty happy with the result. Now, in means of just gluing these things together, what I did is I first decided to use hot glue, and since it was the end of the day, I thought I would switch to PVA, but the PVA glue was not that great, since even though these are small foam details, they're not that small that the glue would hold up that well. So the details that were a little bit bigger had some issues with sticking in, but in general it's not that bad, but you know, it still beats burning yourself 50 times by hot glue, so there's that. When I was planning out my lights, what I did is I cut out 3x3 grid out of my base in the center of my crafts, and what I did there was I just cut it out the shape of the LED candlelight, and that was it. Now, I have not decided to create something, you know, out of this, but also why I did this was that I could actually use this small tile in my future craft or in some kind of encounters. So I can make this thing a furnace, any kind of light source that I seem to need, and I could use that. But also, this could serve me as a small, you know, lid for my craft. So the next thing that is probably unique about this whole piece was these arcs that I made from foam that is reminiscing a little bit of like some kind of a gnome, halfling, you know, hobbits inspired type of look to it. How did I achieve that was actually not that hard, but it's a little bit tricky. So by having a small, tiny bit bigger foam planks that would fit here, and after massaging the foam just a tiny little bit in order not to break it, what I did was I actually just cut into that angle where the foam would hit, and I tried to make it so that, you know, the arcway would go evenly and with the walls. Now, in means of the toppings, I don't know, the top of this building, I decided to make some kind of a, you know, central piece, I suppose, but I'm not really happy with it. I think I could just go without it and it would look pretty fine, but I decided to make some kind of a chimney with a small crystal on top, which is this blue thing, to, you know, accentuate that it's actually a magic shop. But, you know, it wasn't that great, but it's still serviceable, and yeah. Now, I know it's a magical shop and you're not gonna probably use that much, but if you're like looking for a, you know, a witch house, I don't know, or something like that, you can easily transform all of this craft into, you know, Baba Yaga's hut or something like that. You just need an extra pair of legs and you would have that. So I covered all of this craft in black after it was done in order to achieve this kind of a muted colors in my craft, and I was happy with it in the end. Now, after I coated that with black, I decided to put some kind of a almost red into orange color, and I coated the shingles there. After that, I decided to put the brown color on the wood structures. It took a little bit of time, and after that was done, came, you know, to detail points almost, which basically was trying to make the base in the stone, just a little bit of gray, a little bit of black and white, and you have yourself a stone colors on your craft. The only thing that was a little bit more interesting was that on these parts right here, I decided to make some kind of a blue just to accentuate the whole piece, because it was quite dark inside, so it needs to have some kind of a contrasting color. And since I made this kind of a crystal blue, I decided to make this, you know, doorways also blue with the windows. Afterwards, I decided to kind of also make these parts blue, but they did not really work, so I covered that up with a similar color like the roof and just give it an orange wash just to make it a tiny little bit toned down and a little bit different. Basically, it's kind of the same thing. Now, in regards of the shingles itself, after it was covered, it was still a little bit too dark in my taste, so what I did was I just grabbed a little bit of red color and I just decided to put a couple of, you know, lines of red here, and that actually gave a little bit more of a vibrant look to it. And I decided to put the washes. Basically, what I used here was, you know, the orange on the top, which is just, you know, just a guess, basically, that will look okay, and it kind of did. It means for the wood, I just used brown wash, and for the shingles, I used crimson wash, and that was kind of it. Only thing that I did not do with this craft, which I probably should do, is that I didn't dry brush it that much, and the reason why was that actually it's a quite muted down craft, and I did not want to dry brush it this in white because it has so many details on the roof that it would just multiply my whole crafting by twice at least. So I did not want to do that, and I think it looks pretty okay as it is now, and that was basically kind of it in means of this craft. So if you watched till the end, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. And as a small bonus, we're gonna finish this craft together, where I'm just gonna put the hot glue on the sign and the sides. Where should I put this? And yeah, that's kind of it. I'm just gonna remove the excess hot glue from this belt. Just position it a little bit better, and seems to be it. There you go, a small potion shop. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe to it, and yeah, see you next week. Yeah, bye bye, see ya, bye bye. Hot glue, basically a tool against humanity.